Yeah.
Really. Touched a bit of a chord.
You did.
Oh, darling. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's good. What's it?
We had that lived
Can you share?
experience during
Yeah.
COVID, so yeah.
Oh, darling.
And Kat was really good too, because I could phone the after hours vet and say, what do you think? And yes, that was really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're really proud of you, Kat, for all that you do, and particularly that pushing through it. So, but anyway, this little segment was really more about you and your mum, not me. Sitting in the background. Yeah.
It's all good.
But it does hit home. And
it was really hard watching your daughter go through that trauma. And one of the things that frustrated me to the nth degree, I mean, I'm a natural therapist, so I'm all for telling people to meditate. Well, I don't tell people to meditate because I don't always agree with meditation, but telling people to relax and calm down and de-stress and go and have a bath and do things like that. But for the faculty to give that to Catherine as her only form of support at a time where she was on the edge of a precipice, we didn't know if she was going to fall or not, I was ropeable. I thought as a profession, as a supporting role for these kids or these young adults that had gone through years of turmoil and hard yards, to be told when you'd failed, the only help we can give you is download these de-stress methods instead of practical tools for them to cope better, or people that, like, because half the office closed down. The kids couldn't even ring anybody to get answers or questions. That's why Simney got into a role, because we had Janelle on one side and she knew the main boss out at UQ, and we were going to go up there and just demand, a better way of doing things, because it boiled down to just a couple of misstatements and it was going to wreck a career. And there wasn't just Catherine, like there was a whole cohort of boys and girls, I call them boys and girls, but young adults who'd really done the hard yards that were not going to graduate. And there was a lot, Catherine, that didn't get through, wasn't there, even at the end?
So we had 25, just for one subject, so one out of the three subjects, we had 25 people fail it the first time, and then we had a resit, and there were 9 of us that didn't get through that time, and I'm pretty sure there was only 2 of us that got through in the end. So
yeah, wow.
There were 7 people that just from one subject have had to repeat this whole year, so the final year of vet school. And
it was catastrophic. It was so high pressured for the students to go to all these placements all over the place.
It was 80-hour weeks at some placements, like, you're
and if you win
during the night.
If you win, it's not how you're going to cope in real life. But in real life, you had a bit of a pay. These kids were paying HECS fees, having to go and do all these placements away from their family home. So some of the students are young parents and would have spent in their young families, and it was a horrible way to end a celebratory year. It wasn't because they were all thick as bricks. They just muffed up these, maybe there was 1 or 2, but even they deserved more. That the faculty, I believe, should have noticed well before that 3 exams that some of the students weren't coping or weren't going to get through. Not to have it end at that last couple of hours. Because Catherine went in the morning and found out an hour later that she failed the exam.
And given
I had an interview. I had my final interview at that first job that I got. I drove back to mum and dad's, and then I opened my emails and had the result. And then I had to drive 50 minutes home, bawling my eyes out pretty much. So it was not a fun time.
No, that is not a fun time at all. It sounds like, there's elements of, the lack of preparedness or the lack of support that there seems to be, it's almost a an embedded cultural thing. It's like, you know, well, too bad, how are you going to cope out in the real world?
It's
It's like, well, the real world shouldn't be like that either. Like,
yeah,
you should be given support in the real world too. Like,
all of the academics pretty much were like, you know, we had to go through this as well. We know what it's like, but to be an academic, that like none of them would have failed. It's just they almost don't know what it's like, or you can't know every person's situation. There were young adults there that were coping with, you know, a baby at home while trying to study for all the vivas, and I know that's our choice to go into the profession, but there should have been some form of support gone. If you don't get through, these are the 2 people you contact. Or like I ended up calling people I knew in the admin office just because I'd worked with them on previous projects in the past 5 years, so I actually had connections that I could call. But you know, not every student has that all the time. So you know,
I think what frustrated me too as a parent and also as a natural therapist was they know it's the highest profession. I used to go out and do workshops with the students to cope, you know, with different aspects of vet life. And they know it's got a really high percentage of vet suicides. And there was a young lass, just as Catherine was graduating in Mackay, that took her own life. And she was only a young girl. No one was expecting it. So the faculty knows it's a high suicide profession. And yet they left these students hanging by their fingernails on the side of cliffs to give them a bit of
metaphorically speaking.
Well, no.
Psychologically speaking.
Exactly, yeah. And the parents then, like we'd gone through 5 years where everyone was getting excited to see their children walk across the floor and gain their thing. So you lost it all. Taken away from not just the students, got taken away from families, people that travelled and booked flights and all sorts of things. I just believe the uni failed in their duty to ensure these students were ready and supported for their final exams. Very much so. And it's a shame that it's all been put under the floorboards now and we haven't kept going with it, because there's going to be another group of students going through. And you had to stand back and go, is there a monetary reason here? that
another year's worth of test fees
won't get through, so therefore they've got to pay again. And some of them were full paying students.
Yeah, international students.
So it was a very very horrible time. Very horrible. And then people saying, oh well, she'll be okay, you know, sometimes you've got to fail to get through, you know. It'll kill them. Anyhow, enough about that.
All right, well, I think that's a bit of a wrap, and just another great way for people to get to know each other and hear each other's stories. And I know we're all tired and we could be doing 3 million other things.
We'll move on to that now.
or we could be actually just doing nothing from now on. Let's close out the evening and just put all of those 3 million things to bed. And transition into some quiet time.
Watch some whodunit mysteries with hubby.
That's right, exactly. Some sort of de-stress, whatever flavour you want to.
Kat and I got to shop today, so that's one of my big de-stresses. Shopping with family, and we got mugs, which gives us both teary eyes.
That's awesome.
Story for another time.
I think, you know, I know that this has kind of added another layer on top of your day, particularly Fee, because, you know, you and Catherine have both been full on. And I know that when this is all running out there live and other people are listening to it, and then the members in the club can see how this compilation of having conversations, talking it up and having a yarn has really come from the heart. And I know that every member in our club who's either been a part of it or who will listen to the stories will be really quite touched. And it's one of the things that I love about our club, that we do think outside of the box. We do stretch ourselves. We are still there when everyone else has given up or it's too hard or can't do it. And we do it because we support each other. You know, I think it's that when we use the word in Soroptimist, you know, we stand up for women. We're living proof of that at our own club and every level within the organisation. And to be a part of these conversations in the real world as they're happening, because, you know, I don't like to preempt too many of the questions. Some of the richest conversations come out of what follows on from that and then stimulates a conversation with someone else. So I'd just like to thank you all for being part of this project, and I know that we'll be able to do some good out there with other people, encouraging them to keep talking about mental health, you know, yarn it up and just reach out for help. You know, it's there, and we all want to be able to, you know, remind ourselves that self-care is really important too. And the better we are in looking after ourselves, the more we can continue to support the people in our life.
Definitely.
So thank you for that.